It was the hour before the gods awake across the path of the divine event. The hues forwarding mind of night alone in her unlit temple of eternity lay stretched immobile upon silence Mars. Almost one felt opaque, impenetrable in the somber symbol of her eyeless muse, the abysm of the unbodied infinite. A fathomless zero occupied the world, a power of fallen boundless self awake between the first and the last nothingness, recalling the tenebrous womb from which it came, turned from the insoluble mystery of birth and the tardy process of mortality, and longed to reach its end in vacant naught. As in a dark beginning of all things, a mute, featureless semblance of the unknown, repeating for ever the unconscious act, prolonging for ever the unseen will, cradled the cosmic dross of ignorant force, whose moved creative slumber kindles the suns and carries our lives in its somnambulist world. Earthward, the vain, enormous trance of space, its formless stupor without mind or life, a shadow spinning through a soulless void, thrown back once more into unthinking dreams, earth willed abandoned in the hollow gulfs, forgetful of her spirit and her fate. The impassive skies were neutral, empty, still. There is something in the inscrutable darkness stirred, a nameless movement, an unthought idea, insistent, dissatisfied, without an aim, something that wished but knew not how to be, teased the inconscient to wake ignorance. A throe that came and left a quivering trace, gave room for an old tired want unfilled, at peace in its subconscious moonless cave, to raise its head and look for absent light, straining closed eyes of vanished memory, like one who searches for a bygone self and only meets the corpse of his desire. It was as though even in this loud's profound, even in this ultimate dissolution score, there lurked an unremembering entity, survivor of a slain and buried past, condemned to resume the effort and the pang, reviving in another frustrate world. An unshaped consciousness desired light and blank prescience yearned towards distant change, as if a childlike finger laid on a cheek, reminded of the endless need in things. The heedless mother of the universe, an infant longing clutched the somber vast. Insensibly, somewhere a breach began, a long, lone line of hesitating hue like a vague smile tempting a desert earth. Troubled the far rim of life's obscure sleep, arrived from the other side of boundlessness. An eye of deity peered through the dumb deeps, a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. It seemed amid a heavy cosmic rest, the torpor of a sick and weary world, to seek for a spirit soul and desolate, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss. Intervening in a mindless universe, its message crept through the reluctant hush, calling the adventure of consciousness and joy, and conquering nature's disillusioned breast, compelled renewed consent to see and feel. A thought was sown in the unsounded void. A sense was born within the darkness depths. A memory quivered in the heart of time, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. But the oblivion that succeeds the fall had blotted the crowded tablets of the past, and all that was destroyed must be rebuilt and old experience levered out once more. All can be done if the God touch is there. A hope stole in that hardly dared to be amid the night's forlorn indifference, as if solicited in an alien world with timid and hazardous instinctive grace, orphaned and driven out to seek a home, an errant marvel with no place to live. Into a far off nook of heaven there came a slow, miraculous gesture's dim appeal. The persistent thrill of a transfiguring touch persuaded the inert black quietude, and beauty and wonder disturbed the fields of God. A wandering hand of pale enchanted light that glowed along a fading moment's brink, fixed with gold panel and opal-scent hinge, a gate of dreams ajar on mystery's verse. One lucent corner, windowing hidden things, forced the world's blind immensity to sight. The darkness failed, and slipped like a falling cloak from the reclining body of a god. Then through the pallid rift that seemed at first hardly enough for a trickle from the sun's outpoured the revelation and the flame, the brief perpetual sign recalled above, a glamour from unreached transcendences, iridescent with the glory of the unseen, a message from the unknown immortal light, ablaze upon creation's quivering edge. Dawn built her aura of magnificent hues and buried its seed of grandeur in the hours. An instance visitor the Godhead show on life's thin border of while the vision stood and bent over earth's pondering forehead curve, interpreting a recondite beauty and bliss in colors, hieroglyphs of mystic saints. It wrote the lines of her significant myth, telling of a greatness of spiritual dawns, a brilliant cloud painted with the sky of peace. Almost that day, the epiphany was disclosed, of which our thoughts and hopes are signal place. A lonely splendor from the invisible goal almost was found on the opaque in name. Once more a trade perturbed the vacant vasts, infinity's center, a face of rapturous calm parted the eternal lids that open heaven. A form from far beatitude seemed to near, ambassadress twixt eternity and change. The omniscient goddess leaned across the braids that wrapped the fated journeyings of the stars and saw the spaces ready for her feet. Once she half looked behind for her veiled son, then thoughtful went to her immortal work. Earth felt the imperishable spaces close. The waking ear of nature heard her steps, and wideness turned to her its limitless eye. And scattered on sealed depths, her luminous smile kindled to fire the silence of the worlds. All grew a consecration and a rite. Air was a vibrant link between earth and heaven. The wide winged hymn of great priestly wing arose and failed upon the altar hills. The high vows prayed in the revealing sky. Here, where our half-lit ignorance skirts the gulfs, on the dawn bosom of the ambiguous earth, here where one knows not even the step in front, and truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt, on this anguished and precarious field of toil, outspread beneath from large indifferent gaze, impartial witness of our joy and bale, our prostrate soil bore the awakening ray. Here too, the vision and prophetic gleam lit into miracles, common meaningless shapes. Then the divine afflatus spent with dew, unwanted, fading from the mortal's reach. A sacred yearning lingered in its trace, the worship of a presence and a power too perfect to be held by death-bound hearts. The prescience of a marvelous birth to come. Only a little the godlight can stay, spiritual beauty illumining human sight lines with its passion and mystery matters mask and squanders eternity on a beat of time, as when a soul draws near the seal of birth, adjoining mortal time to timelessness, a spark of deity lost in matter's grip, its luster vanishes in the inconscient plains. That transitory glow of magic fire, so now dissolved in bright accustomed air. The message seized and wanted the messenger. The single call, the uncompanioned power, drew back into some far off secret world the hue and marvel of the supernal being. She looked no more on our mortality. The excess of beauty natural to Godkind could not uphold its claim on time-born eyes. Too mystic real for space tenancy, her body of glory was expunged from heaven. The rarity and wonder lived no more. There was the common light of earthly day, affranchised from the respite of fatigue. Once more the rumor of the speed of life pursued the cycles of her blinded quest. All sprang to their unvarying daily acts. The thousand peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instanters, and leader here with his uncertain mind, alone who stares at the future's covered face, man lifted up the burden of his fate.